very controlled. And this is the most important issue. This is the biggest secret in the history of the human race, the known modern history of government. And they have cooperated with keeping this secret.
How is this cover-up contained and maintained through international borders? And if it is, are their motivations the same? The best guess is that since America has such overwhelming economic power, the only worse thing than America being mad at you is for America to ignore you. There are so many countries, economies depend on America that I think that they take their orders from America in some ways. When it comes to the cover-up, I think that's one of them.
The U.S. government is not only pressuring Brazilian government, but it's making pressure over almost all countries that are somehow aligned, politically aligned to the United States. Now, all South America, except maybe for Chile and Venezuela, who has Chavez, who's a rebel, all the rest of Latin America is very aligned to U.S. politics. So all these countries will do just exactly U.S. president tells them. It is keep this under wraps.
Recent media polls show that over 100 million people in the United States alone believe that there is some form of extraterrestrial life. 45% believe that the Earth has been visited by extraterrestrial beings. Nationally known journalists continue to turn a deaf ear to the public's demands for true investigative reporting on a daily basis, accepting instead the dribble of denial from numerous government agencies as fact, while refusing to interview the legions of researchers who have made serious scientific investigation of UFOs and alien contact their life's work.
What else are the governments of the world not saying?
What if there is positive proof that UFOs do in fact exist? What if that proof has existed for years, but has been hidden neatly within the fabric of a system of lies and grand deception?
We need to be very concerned about the way in which this whole area has been managed by the national security agencies responsible. By maintaining secrecy, keeping people in the dark, it means that we really don't know whether this secrecy and withholding the information, withholding the technologies from the general public arena is really for the best interest of all of us.
The problem has been since the early 50s, and I have the government documents. The United States government has instituted a policy of denial and control over the information. Nothing happening there, folks. Nothing happening there, folks. And if somebody persists in saying, but I saw it, then they're ridiculed. You've got a screw loose. Something's not right with them. This is absolutely just unconscionable in a country that pays lip service to freedom and individual liberty, because there have been so many people whose lives have been wrecked, whose families have been wrecked because of this policy of denial and ridicule over a phenomena that has happened worldwide for centuries.
Disclosure has a very defined definition. It means the formal acknowledgement by the governments of the world of the extraterrestrial presence.
As fellow inhabitants of planet Earth, we live in a rapidly changing world. The advent of modern communication networks and the internet has made maintaining the UFO cover-up a difficult and demanding undertaking.
Brian Vike of HBCC UFO, it's the #1 UFO website to send information to. Him and Rents and UFO Casebook are the three places that I always send my footage to, because they will only put verified sightings on their site. They just won't put junk up there. And I know they get over 3, 4, up to 10 million hits a month.
For over half a century, the United States, Great Britain, and a host of aligned countries have been able to maintain a vast web of secrecy over what is actually happening worldwide relative to aliens, or what are generally known as EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities. But that is rapidly changing, and disclosure, the lifting of the truth embargo, is now taking place.
I'll be getting over 500,000 hits this month. But the interesting thing about that is that a couple of thousand of those hits each month are from the military. As far as sharing information on the internet, that is the best way to do it, and probably the safest way, only because I know I've sent DVDs to people and they haven't received them. And I would email them and say, look, I'm going to send you a DVD. Can you analyze it for me and let me know what you think this is? And 2 weeks later, they'll email me and say, I never got it. I'm just waiting for that day when they come knocking on my door and want to talk to me about it. But until that day, I think they know who I am. I think they know we're here. I think this is the way it's going to be done from here on out. Because the military definitely doesn't want to talk about it anymore. Because everything at night to them is a flare or an airplane. On the contrary, we have all this evidence that shows otherwise.
Like the dawning of a new day, the internet is quickly sweeping away the darkness. The truth will not be stopped.
We're in this strange reality, which we're caught between two worlds, between two paradigms. And the bridge between, or the door between these two paradigms is what is now called the disclosure event.
Recently in Washington, D.C., a press conference was held in conjunction with an international event, the X Conference, where a panel of eminent scientists and researchers broke the silence and spoke out and called for a full international disclosure and an end to the truth embargo relative to UFOs and extraterrestrials.
If I was an in-the-know person, high up in government or finance, and I knew about the extraterrestrial issue, and I knew about sequestered technology, and I knew what it could do when it was released, my position would be this. Let's keep that technology under wraps as long as possible, while we sell as much of the rest of the oil as we can for as much as possible. And then we'll take that money, and we'll use that to own the extraterrestrial technology. Right? The point is, there's always people in the know and out of the know. Sometimes it's about stuff, and, you're in or you're out. But there are some things you can't have the in the know and out of the know.
Basically, what we're calling on today is for the government of the United States to take the issue of extraterrestrial life, where it has been stuck in conflict and for the last 60 years, and take it out of the military intelligence agencies and put it into the Department of Education and the scientific departments where it belongs. Take it out of the threat scenario agencies where it is funded as a potential threat, and put it into the opportunity agencies where it is funded as a matter of education and advancement of knowledge for mutual benefit.
There is an overwhelming mass of proven, real government documents that have been released largely through the Freedom of Information Act that show decades of, for example, airspace violations, very sensitive places by objects doing what appear to be the impossible. We have these documents from the 1940s, we have them from the 1950s, we have them from the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. So these airspace violations continue. They are provocative, they are at times seemingly confrontational. You have pilots who have been charged with going up to get these things, and they have described them at times saying, yes, it appears to be a metallic disc-shaped, there it goes.
I began on this topic by trying to do reverse engineering on gravity control devices in 1968, but now I'm officially looking at leaked question documents. And some of the documents tell an amazing story. One of the leaked documents started with FDR, and FDR had set up, through Vannevar Bush, a committee called the Non-Terrestrial Science and Engineering Committee. These were guys, after the recovery of a crashed flying saucer in 1942, who were given the parts and told to figure out how they work. They came back to FDR in 1944 and asked for money. And he said, no, we've got to win the war first, beat the Nazis. And then in 1947, it was Vannevar Bush who went to President Truman, who didn't know about all this, and said, by the way, we have these craft, we could do some reverse engineering in order to improve our country, to improve our culture, to improve our standard of living. And that was when the money started to flow.
July 2002, right here in the Washington, D.C. area, there was yet again a airspace jet chase by two F-16 jet interceptors, which were chasing a bluish object right outside D.C.
my opinion right now is the person who's going to wait for hard evidence is going to be left behind when the deluge comes.
Exopolitics offers a bridge out of the permanent warfare state, the permanent warfare economy, out of the permanent warfare industry, into transforming the permanent warfare industry into a cooperative, peaceful, space-age society, integrating with universe society.
So I began to look outside of the kind of conventional sphere. I began to explore theories for what it is that really is driving international politics. And so then I came up with this area of an undisclosed extraterrestrial presence that is kept from the general public. So that really did help me understand what was going on and what is driving international politics.
What's important is the structural blinders and the structural belief patterns and the structural paradigm. If the exopolitics model can come in and establish itself as the dominant paradigm, such that structurally within academia, the Earth is no longer flat, it is now round. Intelligent life no longer ends at the geostationary orbit. The universe is now highly populated. It's that sort of sea change that we need to unleash the huge public investment and private explosion of creativity and cooperation to turn our spaceship around to be able to survive the environmental pressures that are coming now, which have been the result of the embargo that we've been under.
Are we, the people of Earth, on the verge of technological destruction? Has our use and testing of nuclear weapons already triggered an interdimensional countdown that is now moving us as a planet towards some kind of interstellar intervention?
Even though there's clearly no evidence, and I want to emphasize this, that these extraterrestrial civilizations are hostile towards us, I think they're very worried about our hostility. I always turn this on its head, because most of these sort of documentaries are always like alien invasion and all this stuff. No. The issue is that, if they were hostile, we would know it by now. It's clear to me that what's going on is that they're very concerned that at the time that humanity reached the ability to go into space, early space exploration, 50s, we also had already developed weapons of mass destruction and thermonuclear and hydrogen bombs and stuff. And that the coincidence of that, the coming together of those two things, put a big red flag over Earth. And so if you look at the databases from the 50s, 60s, 70s on forward, not only in the United States, but in Great Britain, in the Soviet Union, in China, that wherever we had space, aerospace, and nuclear facilities, there were a lot of these so-called UFOs being seen.
These groups that are interested in us, at least seem to show some benevolence, I think would probably step in and keep us from blowing the hell out of ourselves if it push come to shove.
The onset of the whole UFO phenomena beginning about 1946, 47, and that I don't think it's coincidence that coincided with our development of nuclear weapons. And I think that out in the universe, they were horrified. They said, oh my God, the kids have found the matches. Well, they don't want us to destroy ourselves, and they don't want us to destroy this planet, and yet they're prohibited from directly intervening in our affairs and in our evolution. So I think that we've got crop circles and animal mutilations and abductions and sightings and increasing sightings and all like that, so that it's not directly impacting on us, and yet over this conditioning period we are coming to understand that we're not the only ones in the universe. And I think they're trying to kind of boost us up the evolutionary ladder so that we can grow to be full class members of the intergalactic community instead of destroying ourselves through our petty bickering wars and nuclear holocaust.
Like the dawning of a new day, the internet is quickly sweeping away the darkness. The truth will not be stopped.
We're now seeing this wall of censorship cracking apart in the United States. Just recently we had